Good afternoon to all. This is the class of PC Assembly and Troubleshooting Lab. In this lab, we will study about how to assemble and set up the computer system. Second is how to configure and install the computers. Third is how can we install, how can we connect and configure various peripheral devices, means various input-output devices like keyboard, monitors, scanners, speakers. And the last is diagnose and troubleshoot issues in computer system. It means what are the problems we have to face and how can we overcome all these problems. Troubleshoot means if we face any type of problem, then how to overcome it. So these are the objectives of this class. So it's a PC assembly and troubleshooting lab class. This is the list of assignments or practicals we have to do in this class or in this semester. The first is assembling and deassembling of computer system. First machine exercise is assembling and deassembling of computer system, means plug in or plug out of computer system. In second machine exercise, what we have to do, we have to load and configure the procedure of Microsoft Client operating system Win XP. It means in this machine exercise, we know how we can install the Windows. Next is how can we install the utility softwares. And in this machine exercise, we work on how to install the utility drivers. And next, we have to know how can we install the antivirus, how can we install the firewalls, how can we configure all these. In next, we have to see how can we install and configure various input-output devices, like how can I attach the printers with my computer, how can I attach webcams, how can we connect scanners with the computer system. Next is installing and configuration of IO devices, input-output devices, like how can we attach the digital cameras, how can I connect the USB universal serial bus, Wi-Fi, USB BT, USB storage and projectors with my computer system. And the last machine exercise of is multiple operating system loading and troubleshooting. So these are the list of experiments or assignments or programs that we have to do in this semester. And in today's class, we are going to discuss the first assignment or first experiment, how to assemble and deassemble of computer systems. Now, in this class, we are going to discuss the working or components of cabinet, also known as CPU. Now, this is CPU, also known as cabinet. These are the various components of CPU. CPU, also known as central processing unit, or it is the brain of computer system. You know this thing very well. So it's also known as a cabinet. This is the components of CPU or cabinet. See, this is the hard drive. This is the hard drive, and this is fan. This is CMOS cell. CMOS stands for complementary metal oxide semiconductor. Basically, it is used for a battery backup or battery power. And these smalls, they are called transistors or capacitors. Basically, they are used to give more capacity. This is called memory slot. This is a memory slot. And this is for RAM. And this is IGP with heat sink. These are the components of motherboard. So this is how the motherboard look like. So basically, motherboard have various further components. It has a, this is also known as a cell or CMOS, complementary metal oxide semiconductor. And basically to provide CMOS with power when computer is turned off, all the motherboards comes with battery. We all know that when we shut down the computer, we see time and date always be active. It does not mean I'm shut down the computer today at 3:40, and when on the next morning I even start a computer, it will again on a 3:40. No, every time its time and date is updating. How it is possible? It is possible with the help of CMOS, complementary metal oxide semiconductor. Basically, these batteries mount on the motherboard in one of the three ways. You can even mount them like obsolete external battery, or the most common onboard battery or built-in batteries. So we can use this in a three types. Next, this is for a memory chip. For more memories, you can insert or adapt the chip over there. And this is for fan. This is a fan. Look at this. This is a fan. In modern CPU, generate a lot of heat and thus require a cooling fan or a heat sink. The cooling device, such as cooling fan, this is called a cooling fan, is removable. Also, some CPU manufacturers sell the CPU with fan permanently attached. Now, most of the in these days, in a modern days, most of the CPU have inbuilt or predefined CPU or fan, or known as a cooling fan, inside its motherboard. This is for RAM. We know that RAM is a random access memory. Basically, this is for RAM, and this is for hard drive. These are the various wires that are connected with each others, and these are called capacitors. These small ones are called capacitors. And this is IGP with heat sink. This is IGP with heat sink. And in this motherboard, we have some mouse and keyboard connectors. We have USB connectors with which we can connect the USB. You know, USB stands for Universal Serial Bus. And in this motherboard, we have some parallel ports. We have some single ports. And we have RAM slots. I have already told you, this is the RAM slots, random access memory. It stores the programs and data currently being used by CPU. And RAM is measured in a unit called bytes. So RAM has been packaged in many different ways. The most current package is called a 168-pin DIMM. DIMM stands for Dual Inline Memory Module. So we have our floppy controllers. In this motherboard, we have our floppy controllers. That floppy drive connects to the computer via 34-pin ribbon cables, which in turn connects to the motherboard. Floppy controller is one of the controller that is used to control the floppy drive. Next, we have a IDE controller. In this motherboard, we have some IDE controllers. IDE, industry standards, define two common types of hard drives. This is for hard drive. This is for hard drive. IE, DE, and SCSI. Majorities of PC stands for personal computer, basically use EIDE drives. And second drive, SI drive, show up in a high-end PC such as network server or graphical workstations. So we have two types, EIDE, which is used in a normal PCs, and second we have SCSI, that is used in a very high-end PCs such as network server or graphical workstations. Next, we have some PCI slots. PCI slots means peripheral component interconnect slots. Basically, they are used to connect some input-output devices. In this PC, we have some data buses where we can, with the help of these buses, we can transfer the data from one device to another device. In this motherboard, we have some address buses that are used to carry the address from source to destinations. So PCI slots means peripheral component interconnect slots. Basically, they are used to connect the input-output devices with each other. And for PCI slots, we have a PCI bus that is used to connect input-output devices to the main logic of the computer. In some of the motherboard, we have some ISA slot. ISA stands for Industry Standard Architecture. Basically, it is a standard architecture of expansion bus. And we have a CMOS battery. This is called a CMOS battery to provide CMOS with power. When the computer is turned off, all the motherboard comes with the battery. So this is the CMOS cell, complementary metal oxide semiconductor cell. To provide the battery backup to this cell, we have a CMOS battery. This CMOS battery give light, give electricity, give charge to the CMOS. These batteries mount on the motherboard. We have a different types to mount the CMOS batteries over motherboard. Next, we have AGP slots. If we are using modern motherboards, traditional motherboard and modern motherboards both have different in their infrastructure, in their manufacturing. But if we are using modern motherboards, you will almost notice a single connector that look like a PCI slot. And we have by using AGP slot, we can even insert a video card. Basically, AGP stands for Advanced Graphic Port. AGP is used to insert some video cards, some graphic cards for this. Next, we have a CPU slot. CPU slot, to install the CPU, we have a CPU slot. And we have some power supply plugin that are used to provide the power supply to the CPU. So CPU, that is called central processing unit or a brain of computer. It's also known as a cabinet. So this is the diagram of, or these all are the components of motherboard. We have a cooling fan, then we have a RAM chip, then we have a memory chip, we have a capacitors, we have different types of capacitors over there. This is the CMOS cell. Then we have some IGP with heat sink. This is the hard drive. We can add various peripherals by using the PCI slots. We have AGP slots. We have a USB connectors. We have a mouse and keyboard connectors. This is SMPS fan. This is known as SMPS fan. And this is SMPS power in. This is SMPS power in, and this is called SMPS fan. And this is for connecting VGA cable, and these are for connecting some it may be you can either connect for audio in, out, audio out, and this is for connecting some you can even connect some graphic cables. You can connect a VGA cable with all these. And this is fan, and this is fan power in. And these are for connecting some devices. You can connect devices by using all these. This is for audio. You can connect speakers by using this. You can connect microphones by using this. And these are the USB ports. You can attach USB like pen drives. And this green one is a keyboard connector. If you want to connect keyboard, you have to connect keyboard over there. This green one This green one is a keyboard connector, and this second, this is the mouse connector. It is a keyboard connector, and this is a mouse connector. And these two are for USB. They are the USB ports, and this first one is a LAN port. This is LAN port, Ethernet LAN port, local area network port, and these two are USB ports. And these both are one is a keyboard connector, and this is a mouse connector. And this is a for VGA port. VGA means if you want to connect some you want to attach the projector or you want to attach something else, VGA. This is for VGA. And next is for basically these are for parallel port. So by using all these, you can attach any device. This is for connectivity. This is the fan. This is power in for fan, and this is for one is for a keyboard connector. This is for mouse connector, and all these for you can even attach speakers, microphones, or anything else with all that. This is for VGA port, means you can attach any VGA cable by using all this, and this is for LAN port, Ethernet LAN port, and these are for USB ports, universal serial bus. We can attach any type of external media by using these two ports. This is the power button. We have to press on this button to switch on the CPU. And by using all these two ports, we can attach any external storage device, like we can attach pen drive or anything else. And these are for, you can even attach microphones, speakers, whatever you want to attach. So this is the working of CPU, which is also known as a cabinet. In this class, we have discussed the components of motherboard and how can we power on the CPU, what are various ports CPU have. So all the components we have discussed or covered in this class. Thank you so much, class.